Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Howard. Howard is from New Mexico in the USA. So let's see what Howard has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
There we go. Hi, William. How you
Hello,
doing?
Howard. How are you? I'm
Hey.
very well. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah, we have a lot of wind here, but it's warming up finally in this part of the world, becoming summer quick.
And which part of the world are you based right now?
So I live outside of the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico. It's in southern New Mexico, maybe an hour north of El Paso, Texas. But it has its university and it's a reasonable sized town, but it's very, very beautiful here because we have big high mountains and valleys. And so you get incredible sunsets, incredible sunrises, and the weather's really very decent, but it is a high desert.
That's the place where you were born and raised?
Well, I have a lot of roots here, some family roots in this area. I was born about an hour away from here in a small town, and then we moved around a lot between the states of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So this, it definitely would be home. And then I spent almost 30 years in the Army, living in maybe 19 countries and
Wow,
all kinds of places. So yeah.
my goodness, wow. I'll tell you something, Howard. I've been doing the show like for the last 2 years, and I have guests on the show all over the world. And of course, most of my guests, they are from the US, yeah? And if I'm not wrong, you are my first guest from New Mexico state.
Yeah.
And I've been traveling around the US through the Magic Box, of course. There are so many states that I never heard before, and it's been so surprising to see so many places. It's been like almost 900 people on the show so far, so it's been a lot of people. And when I interview people from different states in the US that I never heard before, or maybe I've known, but I never heard anything about it, so I didn't know anything about the state. I feel very happy because, it's just the Magic Box going like in different places, more and more. So tell me, in your opinion, what's something about New Mexico states that stands out comparing with other states in the US, in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, it's a small population of people. So there are only really maybe three cities to speak of. And then I think, maybe less than 1 million people in the whole state. And yet the state is very large. It takes 12 hours to drive the length of it, and maybe almost that, 10 hours to go the width of it. That's going very fast, on a highway and everything. So it's a very big state. But the thing that's probably, I think the thing that's most surprising about it is it looks to people who drive through here that it's a desert, and that it's empty without life. But in reality, it's full of life. There's all kinds of things that are hidden, and the beauty is incredible, but you might miss it because you see so much dirt or you see no trees. So you might miss it. But we have the largest wilderness area in North America is in New Mexico, with the largest herds of elk. Like you can go into those areas, usually by horseback or something, and you can be completely surrounded by 1,000 elk, and just unbelievable things. And the state, I think I'm answering way more than one question here, one answer, but the state has the most, they're extinct, but the most extinct volcanoes of any state in the nation.
Wow, amazing.
And that's what creates all this incredible beauty, because they create these huge valleys, they create these huge mountains, and yeah.
Amazing. Howard, so as you mentioned already, I've been, what do you do for work, for living?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't mention this part. So I am a veterinarian. That is my profession. And then I chose to go into the Army shortly after I became a veterinarian. I chose to go in the Army as a veterinarian. And so I worked in the Army for 30 years as a veterinarian. And I've recently retired from the Army. I am still a veterinarian, but I haven't taken on a full-time position. I mostly do veterinary work kind of at my choosing, with friends, family, maybe people in great need and that kind of stuff here and there. But I'm really taking advantage of, it's only been for 2 years now, but I'm taking advantage of this time to kind of reevaluate life, kind of make a plan for the way forward, prepare myself to leave this life, all those kind of things.
Amazing. So I think you are at the right time to express yourself in the Magic Box. Amazing.
All right.
Howard, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Okay.
Amazing.
Yes,
welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best friend, okay? Okay, full of random fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first, okay?
All right.
Let's do it. Okay, Howard, before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
All right.
First question for you is, what is the most beautiful thing someone has ever done for you?
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's I can. There's kind of a gamut of things, but to narrow it down to one is a little challenging. But I think probably the most. So by being in the Army, I've spent a good amount of time in war zones. Mostly in the Middle East, and but I'm also single, so I don't have a significant other, and I don't have a family of my own, but I do have an extended family. And my sister, all of my family has been very, very supportive and pulled together at any time, but my sister has done some incredible things. So I was injured in Iraq, and then I ended up having to have back surgery and eye surgery and put my body back together, and then I ended up on drugs, not illicit drugs. These were normal drugs that a normal doctor would give you. And I just got more and more, I get a more powerful, and then you work from this one to that one. And then I'm basically, without even my knowledge, I'm like addicted to morphine at this point. And I've kind of quit functioning. I still have my job. I still show up at it, but I've really quit functioning in life, and no one seems to notice. Like, they just don't seem to notice, and I'm just living on these things, but I've just shut down. And my sister came to visit, and she's like, "What on earth is going on with you? Like, you're a different person, and what's going on?" And I showed her, and she's like, "Okay, well, you should take some leave, and we'll take your truck, we'll take your dogs, and we're going to my house. And we'll take all the stuff with us." And so this is like, 4-day drive across the country to get back to her house. And anyway, she threw all my drugs away, held my hand as I detoxed, took me on walks, did all these things to get me out from under this thing that no one else would consider, even that it was even a problem. And get me back to where I'm functioning, and not, at first you really think you need those drugs bad. and you'll do anything to go get them out of the toilet or out of the sewer or wherever. But so she stayed with me and got me back up and running and got me back home and got me back to work. And then from then I'm just like, wow, let's just stay really far away from everything and all those kind of things. And even to this day now, because I'm older and I'm retired, I go see a doctor and they're like, okay, so what drugs are you on? So you're on high blood pressure medicine? No. So you're on, I forgot all these things. So you have diabetes? No. And, it's all these things. No, I have nothing and I'm taking nothing because my sister, helped me out, 20 years ago and got me out from under all that stuff and did it with, when I have nothing to offer for it. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. My goodness. Wow. Saying that, what's the biggest similarity between both of you and the biggest difference, you and your sister?
Yeah. Okay. Whew. That's a good question. So I think the biggest similarity is we both have I'm not sure the right words, but we both have these hearts of kindness where we see suffering and we want to help. And we often will help, not just want to help, but we often will help and we'll go out of our way. So we have that in common. The big difference, I think, is she is much more of a doer, a fixer. It seems to have a almost a saintly approach to things, and then I am much more cluttered and I think in a big emergency, I probably function the best. In a day-to-day, everything is kind of mundane. She functions the best in that situation.
Okay. Next question.
You're very flexible, by the way.
I'm from Brazil. You know Brazilian people. When you're born, you're just born dancing already.
Nice.
Next question for you is, what does your friends they do that comforts you the most?
Yeah. So when I see my friends who make hard choices in life and choose to do right things instead of easy things, and also do things that are not necessarily popular, and that gives me great comfort to see that they're willing to suffer, to go into hardship, to do things like that, to do the right thing, to either help someone out or to be the right person for their family, or the right person for the job they're in, where they actually go out of their way to not do the normal, but to do the extraordinary.
See. And your best friends, they live as well in New Mexico?
Well, no. So that's another little tricky thing about living everywhere and living nowhere for your whole adult life. And you have the potential to make incredible friends, but they don't hang out where you hang out because everybody scatters and all that stuff. So yeah, so my good friends are great distances away. I think most of them are in this country. I think I have one or two that are overseas, and so we have there's all these magical ways to communicate now, but particularly because I retired and moved to a place where I don't have a boss taking every moment of my life. I have made my home available, and so I've had a few good friends come and stay for several days and even weeks and months, and it's been awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. Next one. Hey, Howard from New Mexico. Before the next question, tell me, in your opinion, what was the best part of spending 30 years in the Army? Tell me what was the most joy of it.
So, yeah, as a veterinarian, you have the opportunity to do all kinds of crazy things because animals are involved in our lives all the time. A lot of times we don't even see it, but they're involved in our lives, whether they're living with us or we're eating from them or we're getting clothes from them. You know, all kinds of things come from animals. And militaries, and particularly countries that are in conflict where things are really falling apart, it's oftentimes animals that is what you fall back on to get food, to get milk, to get clothing. But when everything breaks, as it does in war, you know, the animals suffer the quickest. And you know, my greatest joy, I think, of being in the military is I had the responsibility many times in many different places that you wouldn't even imagine, but places that didn't know there even were animal doctors in the world, and everything is completely gone, and be able to be the defender and the helper of the animals, and to bring about care and bring about, you know, stability and security to an area by working through the animal populations. And oftentimes you can do incredible things to stop human disease by first stopping it through the animals.
Interesting. Next question for you is, tough question now.
Okay.
If someone gave you an envelope with your death date inside of it, would you open it or not? And why?
Ooh. Well, I tell you, if it was a human and it was written on a piece of paper and that's what they told me, I probably wouldn't open it because first of all, humans don't have that data, and things that are written on paper are rarely accurate. Things are rarely as they sound or seem. So I think I would skip past that.
I think I would feel tempted, but I wouldn't be able to open.
Yeah. Yeah, that's data you don't need, really. That's God's grace, you know, that he doesn't tell us that ahead of time.
For sure. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Next one. Yes, you can join me dancing. Right. Next question for you is, in your opinion, what is the worst thing someone can say on a first date?
Well, yeah. For some reason, I get this question, not necessarily on dates, but I get it a lot because I'm not sure why, but people will say to me, do you dye your hair? And, you know, I don't even know them for 5 minutes or something. But that's the first person they ask. And to me, it's just, I feel like it comes across as, you know, are you authentic or are you inauthentic? So.
Good one. I like it. And what is your answer?
Well, I say no. I say this is my normal hair color.
Good one. Very good. Next question. Hey, Howard. Next question is, what was your favorite part about school?
Well, you know, particularly, it's just it's learning things that start to explain the world. And I just loved, particularly in veterinary school, to learn how the kidneys work and why you have kidneys, and to learn, you know, how the lungs work and why you have lungs, and to learn how bodies work, and then to see how, you know, how there's this consistent thing across all created beings, how they all have very, you know, it's very clear they're all created with a great purpose and great design and great detail. And to learn all that is just a great joy.
Did you always want to be a veterinarian?
Yes, I wanted to be two things growing up. I wanted to be a veterinarian and I wanted to be a soldier. But
Wow.
as I worked my way to adulthood and went to college to do the pre-veterinary work, I tried to also join the ROTC for where you could also learn to be a soldier. And they said, oh no, we don't use veterinarians in the Army. So if you change your major to, engineering, we'll take you. But I said, no, I'm going to stick with this. So I went on and did all that for, it's a long time, it's 8+ years and all kinds of things. And I got to work in great places with millions of chickens and cows and horses. And then I heard about these. I also started working in Africa quite a bit and working with people there with cattle and things. And then I ran into people who were in the Army who were helping these animals over there. And I said, what's going on here? So then I made myself available to the Army and they took me and I became a soldier.
There we go. That's what life is about, achieving what you wanted, and it was there and you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Next question, Howard. Let's do it. Before the next one, tell me what was the most challenging part of being in the Army, in your opinion?
Oh boy. Let's see. Yeah, for me, the most challenging part was always being available, always being ready. And I did that for almost 3 decades, always being available, always being ready. So that means that no matter what I'm doing right now, I could get a phone call and be expected to be on an airplane in 2 hours and not know when I'm ever coming back to my home. And that means I have to be packed for all that. And I also have to have my world such that I can leave it. And that was the most challenging. And I did that and it became a normal way of life and did it for so long. And then once I retired, I was just like, I think I'm going to sleep. I'm just going to sleep. And I did that, I think, for maybe the first 6 weeks, just sleep.
So how did it work? So literally you're in your home, like your hometown, and suddenly you didn't know when they could call you. They could call you anytime. And how often did it happen?
Well, a lot depends on exactly which job you have, but like I worked for a special forces unit for 3 years, and I eventually just put all my stuff in storage, and I just would either stay with friends or stay in a hotel because it would happen so often. So you would get back, you try to figure out, what did I pay any bills? Did I not pay bills? Do I still have a mother? All that kind of stuff. And then it could easily be in a week or 2 weeks. So I think just to kind of break it down. So I worked there about 3 years, and I was called in the middle of the day or night unexpectedly, probably about 12 times, and then would be gone for 6 weeks, 8 weeks kind of thing.
Wow. Okay. Next question for you is, when was the last time that you laughed so hard that you couldn't stop laughing?
What comes to mind is, my father passed away maybe, it's at least 2 years ago. Yeah, about 2 years ago, 2 years and a couple months. And he passed away and he was 91. And I have 3 siblings. And so we kind of, and lots of them have extended, got married and have kids and stuff. So there's a lot of humans involved that were his grandkids and stuff like that. And so we pulled together up in the mountains where he had worked and built a chapel and some other things. When he was a young man, we went there and met together, and we just were going over, life of things. And one of my brothers is just very talented at telling stories in very funny ways. So just all these things where the stories are all twisted and different, but all have a good ending of things, whether they caught the car on fire, or let all the horses out onto the interstate, and it for some reason at a great distance away from these things is just so funny. I just seemed to be laughing and laughing the whole day, of this memorial service that we were trying to have. So,
oh, sweet story. Next question, Howard. Let's do it. Next one. Next question is, where do you want to be in 10 years' time from now?
Well, if not on this planet, so, assuming I'm still on this planet, I think will be the way I'll answer that. That is a good one. So what I would like is, gosh, so many things happen in 10 years. Well, I would be okay if I'm right where I am now. I would be okay with that because I have moved here to a place where I'm surrounded by family at easy reaching distance, and I have communication with friends. So I would be okay with that. I would like to have more animals in my life. I have Toby in my life. He's over here resting on the ground, and he's a huge contributor to my life. But and I would also like to have helped a lot more people get joy out of life through animals and through recognizing the gifts that they have to give to the world.
Wow, beautiful. Right, I have 3 questions left for you. Let's do it. For the next question, as you said, you lived in so many different countries. Tell me one country that you had the opportunity to live for some time or to be there that for you was very special or unique or different that you're not expecting.
Yeah, good. Okay. Whew. Wow, there's so many that have a lot to offer. The one that shocked me the most just that I gained such an appreciation for things, and wow, so many are going through my head, but one, so in Papua New Guinea has 7 islands. That's a nation of 7 islands, and of course one of the biggest islands is the part that shares with Guinea and the New Guinea. But anyway, but they had 7 islands, and one of the islands, Bougainville, had gotten in a civil war because they had gold on their place, and people can never figure out why all these things happen. But this was, in the last 30 years, there was a 30-year civil war there, and so this island had only had young people and old people. It had no
between.
Yeah, in between. They had all died. And this island that had been part of that Pacific world where, they have, great resorts and things and schools and paved roads, all those had been destroyed. All of them had been destroyed. And they'd been destroyed by the people there because they were trying to be forced by the government to do this. So they're going to fight for their rights, and they destroy everything that the government provided. And now there's just young people and just old people. And go there, and not only that, they are literally living off the land, and literally, and not in necessarily a great way. They have all kinds of things going awry. A couple interesting things. Not a single one of them had shoes on, and there's about 60,000 people there. Never ever saw anyone with shoes. Their feet are completely adapted to being barefoot on a volcanic island, and working things. Now, some of them have big cuts on their feet and they get hurt and all that, but in general, they do very well with no shoes at all the time. And they're not walking around on sand, they're walking around on rocks and all this and working with things. So it was just incredible to see how they were making it anyway, and they were still holding on to their heritage and to their family, but now we have old people raising young people, and there's nobody that has that that super energy you have when you're 20, 30, and 40, you know. And there's nobody that has that, nor the not, you know, the ability to work with that. So very interesting what's going on there. And so got to spend a good amount of time there, went there twice for several weeks, and they had never ever heard of an animal doctor, although they all had animals they were doing things with, and they all needed things fixed on them, but they had never heard of that. That was way down the list of critical things. And so, you know, to get to work with them on that, and then to get them to see the value of caring for their animals and their kids and all that kind of stuff. And then to see just the newness of everything, to see for the kids to see that this is happening and see people are helping them and all that kind of stuff. So,
wow. Next question is, usually, what is the first thing that you think about when you wake up?
Yeah, when I first wake up, I think what goes through my mind is, am I okay? And am I supposed to be somewhere? and then I go, no, you don't have to be anywhere. You don't work for anybody. And then I just take some deep breaths and I say, that's right. And I say, where is Toby at? And I listen to see if I can hear him breathing. And I say, oh, there he is right there. And so that's kind of how my mornings go.
Oh, how old is Tobias? You said his name?
Toby is, yeah, he's 5 years old. Let's see, Toby, come over here. Oh, no, you're not in trouble. Come over here, Toby. Come over here by me. Toby, come over here. He thinks, I just woke him up. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Levis.
Jump up here. Toby, jump up here. Oh my goodness. Hey, put your paws up here. There we go. There you go.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
He was sleeping, so he's just
Oh,
waking up. Yeah.
hello, Toby.
Yeah. He is a gift from God.
How old is he?
He's 5 years old.
5 years old.
Yeah, and I've had him since he was a baby, and then he's been trained as a seeing eye dog because I'm blind in one eye and partially blind in the other, and then also he's trained from some other things where if I don't get up in the morning, he gets me up. If I pass out, he gets me up. All that kind of stuff. So,
wow,
huge help.
Beautiful. Beautiful. 2 questions left. Let's do it. Next question is, tell us something that you have done that you feel very proud of yourself.
So, you know, I mentioned that I was worked for this Special Forces unit, and I was a veterinarian for them. It was a Special Forces group, and there at the time there was a big cattle disease in Africa that was sweeping throughout Africa, killing a lot of cattle. So by the time we got involved through, you know, the U.S. Embassy and the requests and all this stuff, there was the disease had killed over 70 million cows throughout Africa, and there's a lot of tribes that totally rely on cows for their whole well-being, for their monetary, you know, to buy and sell things, all that stuff, and this happened to be a virus that could be treated with just one vaccine, but the problem was this in this particular part around Sudan, northern Kenya, southern Ethiopia, in that East Africa inward place, Somalia, there's area there where the borders are drawn, but no one there pays attention to those. You know, you pay attention to who has the biggest guns, the biggest machete, and that kind of thing. And so people would go in to vaccinate these cattle to try to stop this disease. They'd been stopped all throughout Southern Africa and Northern Africa, but this area couldn't get stopped. And everyone that would go, you know, Germans and the Kenyan vets and this, they would all get killed. All their stuff would get stolen, everything would be destroyed, and they'd just be left with their naked bodies there. And so we, all these, I don't know all the super details, I won't go into that, but we went in with a couple small teams and we dropped in by parachute into northern Kenya, and we slowly established a place where we came in with 50,000 doses of this vaccine, that we were actually using these little solar panels to keep cold and these little refrigerators, and we landed in no man's land, and it's coordinated, but nobody there knows about it yet, but eventually we want them to know, because we want them to bring all the cattle as far as you can see to come. And so we got ourselves established, and interestingly, we were very near, of all things, where a bunch of nuns lived in the middle of nowhere. I found that to happen almost everywhere I've been. If you need something, if you really need a toilet, or you need a place to land a helicopter, or you need some real help, go find where the nuns live, and you can get all that. So we had that. Anyway, we got ourselves set up, and we started building places, and we started talking to farmers and getting the word out. And the word doesn't take long for it to spread. So we were there. Now, we had a few encounters early on where people tried to kill us and shoot people, but we were all prepared for that. And we had basically a small army fighting force. We vaccinated 50,000 head of cattle over a 6-week period, and that brought this disease to an end. And this disease, so there have only been 2 diseases eradicated from the world. I just told you one of them. It's a cattle disease called rinderpest, and it affected cattle all over the world in the early 1900s, and up until the 90s. It was declared eradicated from the world, with the last case to occur where we vaccinated there. It was eradicated from the world in 2010. In 2000 was the last case, and that was because of our efforts there, and all that stuff. Now, I was in charge of all the the medical technical pieces of it, but anytime there was problems, which were often, then they would come in and they'd say, is it too dangerous? Do we need to go? The commander would ask me, because it's my mission to get this done. And they're like, okay, we can get you guys out of here today. We can send helicopters and get you out. But did you finish what you came to do? And I'd say, no, we haven't finished. And we would stay, even though it was dangerous. But we had the protection, not just of the US military, but we had the protection of God. It was so clear. It was so clear. We even asked people, why had they never attacked? How had they never attacked this place where these nuns were? Because they have all kinds of stuff there too, and nobody had this super, we won't bother them because they're women, or we won't bother them because they're Catholic. None of that applied. What we found out, what we were told, is the reason is because that place is too heavily guarded. It's guarded by these great warriors. And we're like, we've been over there several times. We never saw any guards. And so these are the things where you're like, okay. And you see this a lot in areas like Papua New Guinea and Africa, where supernatural things take place to help those who can't help themselves, or help those who are trying to help others. So that, to me, was the greatest thing. Again, the other disease, there's only been one other disease, and it was a human disease, and its last case was in that same area, and that was smallpox in 1977, and that was declared eradicated in 1987. So those are only 2 diseases that we as humans have gotten rid of. And so I'm very happy to have been a contributor in that thing.
Wow, what a beautiful and amazing story. My goodness. Thanks so much for sharing that, Howard. That's amazing. It just made my day now. Wow, amazing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Last question. Let's do it. Before the last question, people watch the interview right now. They do like to maybe to start a career as a veterinarian, or maybe become a soldier as you did when you were, young age. Tell me what would be your best piece of advice.
Choose to do what really meets the desire of your heart. Choose to do what you greatly enjoy. Don't choose to do what someone else wants you to do. Don't choose what someone else tells you to do. Choose what you want to do in your real heart, not what's going to look good or sound good, but the real desire that God gave you.
Amazing. Last question for you is, what was the biggest punishment have you ever received?
Me?
Yeah, the biggest one.
You know, when you have a dog, like any dog, but when you have a dog, you know, you're the master of the dog. A lot of times they control you much more than you realize, but you're the master of the dog and you train them, and sometimes you have to punish them. But these really smart dogs, like these Australian Shepherds and the working dogs, you know, if you give them a harsh punishment, you have ruined their week, you know, because they're like, no, I'm trying to understand what you want me to do. Give me 2 seconds, you know, talk to me kindly, kind of thing. And that's what I saw that a lot in my life. Like if I would receive a punishment for something, you know, I would be like, I didn't want to be cut scot-free. I just would like it explained better and give a chance to kind of bring it about. And but gosh, I don't know that I would call it a punishment, but things that come to mind are when people would tell me, you know, you cannot do that, or what you've done is out of line. And so, you know, you need to be quiet. You need to not speak up. You need to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And those to me were punishments.
For sure, for sure. Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game, okay? I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game.
Family, one word.
Precious.
Money.
Useful.
One word for love.
For Lord or love?
Love. Love.
Oh, love. Yeah. Critical.
One word for life.
I think joyous.
Sex.
Fun.
Politics.
Trouble.
Religion.
Risky.
Fear.
Well, it's 2 words. Not welcome.
Okay. Friendship.
Valuable.
Desire.
God-given.
One word for regret.
Teacher.
Success.
Overrated.
Wish.
Hopeful.
One word for happiness.
One words are tough. One words. I would just say different than you thought it would be.
One word for New Mexico.
Enchanted.
USA, one word.
Experiment.
One word for the army.
Potential.
And the last one now, veterinarian, one word.
Helper.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee. and I'm going to ask your best friend, what is the most beautiful thing about Howard, and what's something that he still needs to work on to improve on? What your best friend would say?
I think he would say that I'm the hardest worker he knows, willing to do the most difficult things. And that sometimes I shouldn't.
There we go. There we go. Do you see some work in progress?
Yeah. But I've come a long way. I've come a long way. I've learned to be quiet.
Let's play now Howard and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. Hey, Howard, you can ask me a question now.
Okay. What do you miss the most about Brazil?
Oh, sweet question. Right. Interesting. Through my life, I've learned something very interesting. And I left Brazil when I was very young. I was 19 years old. And actually, I've been living in Europe most of my life, actually, more than I've been in Brazil. It's so interesting because I learned in life that what you don't have it, you don't miss it. Yeah, like badly, let's say badly, yeah. Of course. People ask, do you miss Brazil? Of course I do. Of course I miss Brazil. I miss my family. I miss my childhood. I miss my way of living. Yeah. But when I think deeply about what do I miss the most about my country, about my life over there, it's my mom. It's to have my mom around me, you know. It's interesting because I've learned, like, I grew up so fast, you know. I was 19, I was already living in another part of the world on my own. And I think that, you know, I always, like, when I look back, since I've been away from Brazil, there are so many times in my life that I wished I had my mom on my side. I had her, you know, comfort, or maybe her words, or maybe her food, or maybe her presence, her company, you know. Like, when I look back now, so many periods of my life since I've been away, you know, I always missed that. Yeah. But at the same time as well, I knew that I didn't have it. I couldn't have that and have the life that I had, and I still do. But you know, it's interesting because nowadays with technology, you know, you are more close to those you know, things regarding, you know, social media, technology. I can call my mom anytime and I can FaceTime her, I can talk to her. But through my life, like, when I think about missing something, you know, it's about my mom. I think it's you know, my life, like the growing up and having her around me, you know. I knew that there was always a plan B if I needed. But since I've been away, this plan B doesn't exist anymore. It was just plan A.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is amazing as well. Which is amazing. I'm so grateful for this option that I just had plan A, because it made me a better person, stronger person. And I think that's what life is about. It's about you just, you know, living with the only plan A.
Yeah, that's good. And
I'm sure you know that very well. I'm sure you know that very well. You know, for those 30 years in the army, I'm sure you know that very well. That most of our time, you just have plan A. You don't have plan B. You just need to go for it, and whatever happens, it will happen. Yeah. So yeah. Back to your question, I think you know, I miss my country. You know, I miss the way I've been brought up, the way. You know, we have so many different ways of living life. That's here in Europe, you know, it's a different way of living, but you know, we are just adjust ourselves to the place where we are, and we are happy, and we live the way life, you know, presents us. But so yeah, I would say my mom. Yeah, I would say my mom I miss the most when I think about Brazil. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Very good.
Howard, did you have a good time?
Yeah, that was very, very nice to kind of open up parts of my mind and
thank you so much. thanks so much for taking the time for the interview today. Also, thanks so much for sharing those experiences, amazing experiences in life that, I'm so fascinated to hear those stories. I think it's so nice to hear someone, spending 30 years of their life in the army, traveling around the world, and doing things that not a normal person, like a regular person could do every day. Do you know what I mean? So I think, in a way, it's a gift, and it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone, for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Not everyone can do it. But yeah, thanks so much.
Sacrifices. Yeah, big sacrifices are made to be allowed to do that, both by your family and by yourself. But thank you very much for the great questions.
No, absolutely. But before you go, if you can share a positive message or something that you live by.
Oh, yeah. This world that we live in right now is broken. This world that we live in right now is completely at war. And if don't be disillusioned by that, but also don't write it off. Recognize that you, everyone, that watches this and all that, you're in the middle of a war. So pay attention to the fact that you might be called and have to walk out the door ready to go and never come back. So pay attention to that. And so that, 2, things are rarely as they seem. And 3, you are on this planet for a specific reason that only you can do. So do that.
Amazing. My goodness, I love that. Thanks so much, Howard. And keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure to have you in the show, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.